We've taken flight simulation to the next generation. New heights, mountains, lighting, realism, and even true-to-life photogrammetry. But do you know what hasn't changed? The ATC. For most people, it's been in mute mode ever since FSX. But with the rise of AI, that's finally changing. So let's take a deep dive into Beyond ATC and what it might mean for VATSim. Now, for those who have got no idea what I'm talking about, since the boom of AI becoming so available to the public, we saw a huge change in Flight Simulator. Most notably with two companies, Say Intentions AI and Beyond ATC. Both these products completely overhaul and replace the default ATC system in Flight Simulator. It changes what's a very scripted and on-rails experience to something that is completely unpredictable, very realistic, and an incredibly fun experience. Today, we're mostly going to focus on Beyond ATC. I might do a video in the future where I cover Say Intentions a bit more in depth, but I'll get into my reasons for that shortly. For most of us, VATSim has been the saviour of ATC in flight simulation. But there's one massive issue with VATSim. At any moment, a VATSim controller can sign off and finish up for the night, which means the skies suddenly get quiet and you're without any ATC. This is where Beyond ATC really starts to shine. AI air traffic controllers don't have a bedtime, nor do they have any social commitments, which means they're always there for you. So no matter where in the world you're flying or at any time, you'll always have air traffic control, so as long as the airfield actually does have air traffic control. Beyond ATC gives you a point-to-point experience, which is something a bit different to what Say Intentions does. At the moment with Beyond ATC, you must have a sim brief plan for every flight, and that's because IFR is only supported at the moment. They are planning to expand into VFR, but for the time being, just take note that you must do IFR flights. So as long as you have an IFR flight with a sim brief plan, Beyond ATC will be a complete air traffic control service, giving you a full gate-to-gate experience. So let's quickly talk about the advantages of Beyond ATC against Say Intentions. Beyond ATC gives a more polished off experience. However, the trade-off with that is it can feel more on rails compared to Say Intentions. Whereas Say Intentions mostly uses a complete language model, which means you can talk dynamically to the ATC, giving it a more unscripted and off-rails experience. But it lacks some of the more in-depth features of Beyond ATC. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. The main reason I like Beyond ATC the most is the price model. You pay once for Beyond ATC, and if you want premium voices that sound incredibly real, you just pay for the credits as you need. But if you want, you only have to pay for the product once. No subscriptions. And a massive downside for Say Intentions, at least for me, is the price model. I can understand there's no other solution for subscription base for them, but the price is really high for what experience I get out of it. Which is the main reason I'm focusing on Beyond ATC today. It's more polished and reliable. It's also way cheaper in the long run. So let's get back into Beyond ATC. Beyond ATC isn't just an air traffic control client. It also manages and injects traffic into your simulator in real time, which means you can see realistic scheduled flights and hear other pilots talking over the radio, which adds a heap to your immersion. Now don't get me wrong, Beyond ATC is not a perfect product, and will also cover all the issues, limitations, and bugs that I've encountered with it. But either way, here we are at Melbourne Tullamarine, and today we're going to be doing a short hop over to Sydney. So as soon as you've set up Beyond ATC and you start a flight, you should notice that traffic will start injecting almost straight away. Just like in real life, the first thing you'll want to do is tune into the ATIS and get the latest weather report. Beyond ATC looks at the weather in real time, which means it can dynamically change and assign runways and departures in real time. So once you've got your weather and what you can expect, you can head on over to delivery to get your IFR clearance. The great thing about Beyond ATC, and I think Sane Tensions also does it, but you can set it so it automatically tunes the radio, and if you're not using your voice, it'll automatically respond as well, which means you don't have to worry about your readback or anything like that. You can just keep preparing the aircraft and move on to the next steps. And a new feature that came to Beyond ATC, which makes the gate-to-gate experience even better, is GSX integration. So if you have GSX Pro, you can also link it up with Beyond ATC. So once you get your pushback clearance from Beyond ATC, GSX will begin the pushback and it'll also set you in the correct direction and everything like that. But let's keep continuing with this flight and I'll keep telling you all the features of Beyond ATC. One of the things I love about the traffic injection is it's quite sophisticated. Compared to all the traffic injectors we've had in the past, going all the way back to FSX, is you've always been the main priority. But in reality, it's just not the case. Just like everyone else, you're just a number on an air traffic controller's screen. And Beyond ATC does an amazing job at making you remember that. You're treated exactly the same as every other AI aircraft around you. You're sequenced in with them. You don't get any priority or anything like that. And depending on the airport and what your traffic settings are, you can be lined up for quite some time. You'll be sequenced in between arriving and departing traffic, as well as everyone on the ground, which really can make for a surreal experience. Another thing worth mentioning is the voices in Beyond ATC. They're absolutely phenomenal. There's over 250 basic and premium voices. Not only that, but they have regional accents and also correct ATC phraseology. So no matter where in the world you're from, you'll have an experience that's somewhat close to you. And the thing I love the most is even on the basic voice package, although they're nowhere near as nice as the premium, there's still different accents and different voice types depending on where you're flying. And another thing to compare against Sane Tensions that I love about Beyond ATC is its user interface. The interface itself is really sleek, it's simple and easy to use. It also comes feature packed. You've got everything that you need at your fingertips. You can see a complete translog of the ATC and AI air traffic control around you. But not only that, you can filter it so you can just see what they're saying to you. Which means if you've forgotten what runway you're going to or a specific instruction, you can very easily see what you need to be doing. And of course, another great feature is the traffic map. In the map mode, you can see all the AI traffic around you at the gates or taxiing. You can also see basic information on the traffic, which includes their destination, their call sign, and what aircraft they are. And probably the most useful thing to me is it gives you an exact diagram of the airport, which means it can dynamically highlight where exactly you need to be taxiing to, which includes where you need to hold short. I find this incredibly useful, especially if I don't have the time to go look at the EFB. I can just have Beyond ATC open on my other monitor and see exactly where I'm going. Now, just like on the ground, in the air is just as exciting. You can expect realistic climbs and restrictions. So just like real flights, you'll often go in steps all the way up to your cruise. You might get an initial altitude of 6,000 feet, then 19,000, and then up to your cruise. Not only that, but Beyond ATC does a really great job at the handoffs onto the next controller. And again, if you get confused about any of the steps, you can just look at the translog and see exactly what they've told you to do. But let's talk about some of the limitations and downsides of Beyond ATC. While Beyond ATC does offer a more refined and robust experience, it can feel somewhat limiting at the moment. There isn't exactly an LLM or a large language model involved yet. This is planned for the future, but at the moment it can make it somewhat limiting. Not necessarily in the ATC's response, but in how you can interact with them. Now, it does support you being able to talk to them, but it's more of a voice activation. You have the ability to say and ask from a select few items, which makes it feel a lot less dynamic. And that's kind of where Say Intentions really comes in winning in this section. It has its own large language model, or utilizes one that works, so you can dynamically interact with air traffic control. You could have a conversation with him if you really wanted to. Another thing that falls short with Beyond ATC is in its traffic injection. While it is absolutely superb on the ground, in the sky it's a bit less. Oftentimes on busy approaches, I'll find that I'll come way too close to traffic, even to the point where sometimes AI traffic will literally push in. ATC would have given me clearance to land, and suddenly there's a A320 descending right in front of my face, trying to land in front of me. And I didn't really want to mention this, but I think I should just in case. It's only happened to me a couple of times. I've probably used Beyond ATC close to 100 different flights now. And on one or more occasions, I've been given clearance to line up and wait on a runway. And after that, it seems like ATC completely forgets about me. I can literally sit there for 10 minutes and air traffic control will continue to let other aircraft take off or taxi in front of me as if I don't exist. And in this situation, it kind of locks you up because there's no option to request to taxi back to the gate or anything like that. You can do radio check and wind check. And doing both of these options unfortunately doesn't provoke the ATC to remember you're on the runway. So the only option is to take off anyway, and ATC will begin to yell at you and say you did not have clearance to take off. Once up in the air and you switch over to departure, they'll pretty much forget about the experience and you continue on with your flight. So while it's a great product, it definitely does have some limitations. The main one being it doesn't have a large language model, so your interactions towards ATC are very limited at the moment. It is still plenty more than enough to do a full gate-to-gate flight, but it just lacks that dynamic experience. But you know what doesn't lack a dynamic experience? Joining the SimBlitz Discord. Come hang out with fellow flight sim nerds. We've got the best memes, we've got flight simulator news as it's happening, and you can come join in on the chaos. But with that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I really want to showcase add-ons that I use day to day, add-ons that I can't really use flight sim without, and Beyond ATC is definitely one of them. But either way, be sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and if you could give me a subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. But until next time, I'll catch you then.